Some 24 years ago, the present Taraba state was part of the Dengongolo state, from where it was carved out by the General Ibrahim Babangida administration in August 1992. From its creation to the time when Taraba state was created, the Dengongolo state relied on three media outfits: Gongola Broadcasting Corporation, Gongola Television Corporation, and Nigeria Television Authority stations in Yola, the state capital. These media outfits' transmission covered only the state capital, Yola, and few other towns except for the radio station, which had booster stations in Jalingo, Bali, and Wukari, as well as Gimbo. On the creation of Taraba State, it became necessary for the government to have a television station in addition to a radio station for the propagation of its policies and programs, as well as other educational and entertainment programs.
The story of digitization in Taraba, go way back to the time of former governor Dambaba Sute. It's about at the time that even the federal government was talking about the deadline for digitization. So, but for us in Taraba, it's actually a little bit even more than that, more than just meeting what the goal of digitizing at a particular time. Because we're talking about a situation where our television was operating, both the television and the radio, they were operating with obsolete equipment that go back like 2 decades of obsolete equipment. You have very dilapidated studios, and you have people working in serious bad working conditions. And when you walk into our studios or even our stations, it was like walking straight into a media museum, because you have things that are practically obsolete and from the past.
It wasn't easy, but we, the pioneer staff, were able to weather the storm. Because at the end of every day, news was produced, and the programs are all produced, and the staff were working wholeheartedly.
That was what brought about the decision to establish Taraba Television Corporation, TTV, a child of necessity that came at the wake of the sacking of Adamawa television staff of Taraba State origin, working with the station at the creation of Taraba by the then civilian governor Alhaji Saleh Michika. Led by a time-tested communication engineer of repute, a workaholic and tireless lobbyist, Engineer Joshua Hassan, the sacked ATV staff relocated to their home state, where their able leader set to work to see to the establishment of a TV station to accommodate them. Time, it is said, wait for no one. Engineer Joshua Hassan set to work, and after almost a year of consultations, lobbying, proof of the capacity and manpower he had on ground, the dream for TTV came to the drawing board during the tenure of former civilian governor Reverend Jolie Tavoro Nyame.
Though it wasn't an easy start, I remember we were working under the then general manager, Mr. Joshua Hassan. At the time, there was only one station wagon. 2 station wagons, one for news and one for programs. And the transponder, not the transmitter, the station was using the transponder. It was on top of of Mount Jalingo. The whole editing of news and everything was done downstairs here in the main complex of the main building.
Taraba Television Corporation, TTV, came into being on 2nd April 1993 and took to air on the same day under engineer Joshua Hassan as the first general manager, assisted by trained management and production staff. The station got its legal backing, backed by Edict Number 3 of 1993, promulgated by the then State House of Assembly, and was licensed for broadcast by the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, all in 1995. It all started here in this premises along Bade Way, Jalingo, where the station had its temporary transmission station consisting of the administrative department, news and current affairs, program, engineering, commercial, and research and documentary.
Every station is trying to meet up with the instruction of the NBC, because digitization is the thing that is in vogue now. And thank God Taraba television is not left behind. Viewers are enjoying watching programs on Taraba television. I even understand that they're even on the 17-hour transmitter, which is very, very commendable. I must commend the staff for this wonderful effort.
The station commenced transmission on the 2nd of April 1993 on a 30 watts transmitter feeding signals to 5 watts, transposer mounted on Mount Jalingo, broadcasting news and programs to viewers in Jalingo, its environ on UHF channel 22. 6 years later, in 2001, the station had a change of fortune. The then Jolly Nyame administration constructed a multi-million naira state-of-the-art permanent site, complete with staff quarters for the station.
By and large, I can say that it is Governor Darius Ishaku who, practically took it upon himself to actualize that dream.
The site was commissioned for operations on 7th December 2001 by President Olusegun Obasanjo, with news studio and a 20 kilowatts transmitter and a 10 kilowatts digital transmitter. Shortly after, the Bali UHF channel 25 booster station was established, complete with 10 kilowatt solid state digital transmitter to feed the central part of the state and beyond.
I remember I went with about 4 or 5 engineers to Italy, and they were all trained in the course of the mounting of the transmitter, the coupling of the transmitter, and that was the transmitter that we used to expand our reach. Then after some time, Pinnacle came in with another 10 kilowatt transmitter, which was even bigger.
The contracts were handled by Technosystem and Pinnacle Communications Nigeria Limited.
What Pinnacle has done is to do a lot of work, and the government is giving them a lot of, support.
Now the journey to the digitization of Taraba television began in the early 2012 during the Dambaba Sonte administration, which showed much commitment in the process. Late in 2011, the government constituted a committee comprising of engineers from the station, key officials from the State Ministry of Information, seasoned journalists headed by the Chief Press Secretary to the governor to study the digitization possibilities.
When I was asked by the executive governor to advise on how best we can digitize our stations, my advice was, first and foremost, we need to have a committee in place. And that committee must be populated by people who are competent to handle the issue. That is, it should be comprised of engineers and technicians who really know the job very well. And His Excellency obliged of that request. Then we formed the committee and we moved around the country to see things for ourselves.
The said committee commenced work immediately with a visit to some selected television stations in the country, namely to see firsthand the facilities and select the one suitable to replicate in Taraba State.
We visited quite a lot of places. We went as far as to the NBC, Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, and we discussed with them, first and foremost, for us to be able to know those issues that needed to be addressed at that time. And from them, we now moved to stations like the PRTV, the Kada FM in Kaduna, and we went to so many other stations. Fundamentally, it's for us to really know what are the kind of equipment that we needed for digitization. Two, we needed to see those other components of the stations that could be modified instead of buying new ones. And we moved around, actually we gathered our information, we came back, and we now put up a report to government, thinking that this report can actually be a kind of guide to people coming to the state to do this issue of digitization.
The commitment and the committee came At a time when the digitization policy of the federal government was gaining ground on the foot of the global trend. It was the committee's report that set the tune for the digitization of Taraba Television Corporation. Governor Dambaba Sante was in the process of addressing the recommendations of the State Digitization Committee when suddenly he met with accident and nothing much was heard of the process during the short stay of acting governors Garba Omaru and Sani Abubakar Danladi. Eventually, Governor Deiros Dixon Ishako came on board, and from then on, the digitization process gained momentum and government once again tightened its attention to it. The Chief Press Secretary to Governor Deiros Dixon Ishako, who was also the CPS of former Governor Dambaba Damfulani Sante, and the head of the Digitization Committee, which set the foundation for the digitization process, Alhaji Hassan Minjinawa, gave the outline of their marching order.
From our experience in the past, chief executives and other politicians can sit in the office and issue out contracts to people. People will now go and bring this equipment, not minding the engineers who are directly working with this equipment. We have even here in Taraba, some items now are still lying waste. So you see, that was the essence of ensuring that we put engineers in the team, so that by the time we go and return, we'll be able to help government to identify the key components that are required for us to buy, not to allow a contractor just to bring garbage and dump for us here in the state. And this actually was a target, and I'm so happy now at least we've done that, and the digitization has taken place.
As far as output is concerned and all that, this is actually a new dawn altogether, and all thanks to Governor Darius, who took it upon himself to say that, okay, look, we need to get this one. It's already, I think the budget, in terms of budgeting, more than 2 or 3 billion already has been sunk in this in this effort. And that's no mean that, because it takes not just the political will, it takes the creativity on the side of the governor to envision this and say that, look, this is very important.
I have gone in, you people are trying your best. Somebody will sit out there, when they hear some crack, they'll start abusing you. They don't know what you people are passing through. I must first of all commend the management of TTV and also the staffs. So I am very happy and I commend you people.
Elated with the realization of their assignment and the implementation of the committee's recommendations, went a step further to drum the need for professionalism and adequate staffing for the station.
In the report we submitted, we recommended training and retraining. We need to actually ensure that we recruit good hands. I know for quite a long time we've not actually employed. We've been using artists who have not been trained. They were trained on the job. So we really need to take them to training schools where they can get further training. And also we need to employ people who are qualified, they have been trained, they've been working somewhere, to come into the station so that we can enhance the content production. So I think this essentially is the major thing that we need for now. We need to ensure that we have competent staff that can man the stations. And I think the era has gone when you just bring in somebody from somewhere and ask him to manage a radio station or a television station. So I'm quite happy with the appointment so far. Engineer Bryson is an engineer. He was a member of my committee. We moved around. I know how intelligent he is, and I know how conversant he is with equipment as far as digitization is concerned. So I'm sure he is a capable hand to run that place. And I'm also happy you have Joshua Hassan there who can actually oversee one way or the other.
For a start, and a sign of commitment of the architect Darius Ishako's administration to take the digitization process hand on in view of the approaching deadline early set by the federal government. A multi-million naira state-of-the-art studio was put in place at the TTV permanent site. The singular effort set the tune for the digitization proper, and within a short spell of time, the state government called for tender from reputable communications company for work to begin.
The studio that was actually constructed, even though it was completed, but it was not put to use. And I recall then that the present governor of Taraba State was able to also make a shift from that very well. And now today we have another mini studio where you have been continuing with your program and also news broadcast. I think the vision we had actually served, and it has been actualized as a matter of fact.
A number of companies bidded at the opening of the tender, but Pinnacle Communications Nigeria Limited eventually came out successful and was awarded a contract for the supply and installation of digital equipment for the station. Today, courtesy of the DDI Rescue, Taraba Mission's passion for the media and the view of its potency in mobilizing the people to receive and appreciate government policies, programs, and as well as participate in governance, TV Taraba has opened a new chapter.
As you may recall, when we started on the hill of Jalingo. That was where our transponder is. And we have been operating there under a very, very tense situation.
Every station is trying to meet up with the instruction of the NBC, because digitization is the thing that is in vogue now. And thank God Taraba Television is not left behind. Viewers are enjoying watching programs on Taraba Television.
The advent of the digitization drive and financial commitment on course, TV Taraba now has 2 modern studios at its permanent site in Malum with 7 ultra-modern Sony DCM cameras.
At the campaign, I was commissioner during the campaign. I took the candidate then, as he was there, to all the media installation. I took him to the radio, to the television, and he almost came, broke down in tears when he saw the kind of equipment and the kind of working condition of the staff. He was really not happy with what he saw. And then he told me and assured us that the very first thing he would do when he becomes governor was to see that he rolls away all those things and ensure that the television station becomes meets all the best practices in that industry. And that's what he started doing as soon as he came in, as soon as he was sworn in.
TV Taraba's switch off from analog to digital transmission is made possible with supply and installation of 2 10 kilowatts ULX and 10,000 and digital transmitters linking northern zone, part of central zone, and southern zone of the state, as well as neighboring states such as Gombe and Plateau with executive radiation power EPR. During the installation work and the subsequent test transmission, the state governor, architect Darius Dixon Ishako, took time to inspect the site, expressing satisfaction with the quality of work and the equipment.
We are on the rescue mission. By the grace of God, we will succeed.
Now the coming of the digitization process and the realization of this much-awaited departure from the limited span analog system came to the staff and equally the viewers as a big relief in terms of having the opportunity for new technology, new equipment, content, and quality programs and transmission outreach. In addition, the viewers now had the rare privilege of enjoying wide variety of program content, attractive stage setting due to the visual studio component of the equipment, and above all, crystal clear signals complete with audio, which has been the bane of the analog system of the past.
Taraba State Television today is improving because the standard of Taraba State Television before and these days, present days is more than that days.
We are enjoying it. We got the picture, the hard right, and the mix. It's very good.
A singular breakthrough attained by the architect Darius Dixon Ishako's administration in the digitization of the state government-owned media outfits in the states, hitherto thought to be unattainable, is an appreciable achievement that took the entire state by surprise. The installation of the new digital equipment, which was swift and smooth, led to early test transmission by the TTV News Studio, which evidently caught the viewers as a big surprise by the spate of reactions from them, as well as state of dumbfoundedness exhibited. The reactions and visits by the public, government top functionaries, pupils, and students of tertiary institutions to see things firsthand clearly indicated that to them, what they saw on air was not TTV at first until they came visiting and saw things for themselves. TTV logo notwithstanding, what they saw on their screens, according to many of them who came calling, gave them the impression that they were onto an interactional station.
The most important thing, which of course is the major challenge after digitization, is for us to be able to enhance our content production. And unless we do that, nobody would even bother to tune into your station. Even if you've been able to finish everything and you are on air 24/7, people will not like to tune to your station if you don't have quality content.
In fact, I'm impressed. I can say it is one of the achievements. I can say the Darius has recorded during his coming as governor of Taraba State.
Da zai ga hotunan a yanzu da murya.
I'm impressed. Yes. Yeah. Your services in the area of programs is impressive. And the area of presentation and the way you are enlightening the public, in fact, is in order.
My advice is that the good God should give them strength to move the work forward.
Today, the administration of TTV's horde of viewers knows no bounds, and their demands for more programs content keep rising. Some of the pioneer general managers of the station recall the early days of the television station when they had to operate with virtually the very basic of equipment.
It wasn't easy, but we, the pioneer staff, were able to weather the storm. Because at the end of every day, news was produced, and programs were all produced, and the staff were working wholeheartedly. I remember myself, sometimes I used my personal vehicle to go for news coverage, and sometimes we had to use, there was a time we had a motorbike in Taraba television, where some reporters were using the motorbike as a means of transportation for news coverage. It was a hectic experience, but at the end of the day we all enjoyed it because what we wanted to achieve was achieved.
We were so handicapped at that time. There was no money, and we were running helter-skelter here and there.
Mr. Silvanos Yakubu Giwa held sway as the third general manager of the station and the longest serving so far. He recalled the dearth of equipment and the task of delivery during his tenure. Those were the days of total sacrifice and moments of perseverance paving the way for the growth of the station to the present day when it enjoys a change of fortune.
Yes, during my time, some stations were established with the aim of expanding the reach of Taraba television. I remember there was one that was built in Zing, and another one on the hills of Ngoroji, and then another one around Kufai in Tapun local government area. Then another one was in Bali. All this was with the aim of making sure that Taraba television is being received in the nooks and crannies of the state. But unfortunately, with the trend of events, that particular goal was not achieved. If not, good efforts were made. There was even a staff quota that was built in Bali during my time. And even the fencing of Taraba television was done during my time, because we were having series of cases of theft of bullion. So we had to ensure that there's proper security in the permanent site. And up to now, the walls are still there for everybody that cares to know, to see.
Ask the staff, and you don't miss the satisfaction for the arrival of the digital era and the hidden zeal to keep the station on air to the satisfaction of the government and the public.
As far as job creation is concerned, as far as output is concerned and all that, this is actually a new dawn altogether, and all thanks to Governor Darius, who took it upon himself to say that, okay, look, we need to get this one. It's already, I think the budget, in terms of budgeting, more than 2 or 3 billion already has been sunk in this in this effort, and that's no mean that, because it takes not just the political will, it takes the creativity on the side of the governor to envision this and say that, look, this is very important.
The two former general managers who expressed unreserved commendation for the Darius administration for the realization of this feat further spoke on content and sustainability.
You need to concentrate on your programs and of course see how best you can get more adverts and other things to be able to keep the stations running.
And I think to some extent this is what has really, for me, made Governor Darius one of the most media-friendly governors in the history of our state.
It is not far-fetched to say that Taraba Television has broken the jinx of the digitization policy and has come of age technologically with the earnest support of the Governor Darius Dixon Ishaku's administration. The dawn is now cast for TTV to give its best and delivery in its primary assignment, having had its transmission hours raised from 6 hours to 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. to 17 hours, 7 a.m. to 12 midnight, preparatory to 24 hours marathon transmission.
In the past, people watch TV maybe just from 7 o'clock to say 10 and then it's done, and they're no longer watching TV. But now we've got TV morning transmission running through, and from what they're saying, apart from the good quality and all that, one of the things they're planning to do is to ensure that the TV lasts.
It is said no monument smell of the sweat of builders will shine without the polished vision of the founders.